Welcome into the Daft on Draft podcast, and welcome to Draft Week. We have made it Thursday night, so two more days. And up until then, Dalton and I are going to be bringing you our final mock draft here to do our best to incorporate what we feel, what we hear, what we think, and kind of go and feel it out. Again, mock drafts are always a little weird because we're not doing trades. Trades get a little too stiff, like icky to try to project. But again, Dalton, welcome to Draft Week, man.
Dude, we're here. That's all that matters. We're here, and that's all that matters. I'm actually really excited about the content this week because we do have the mock draft. That'll be Tuesday and Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we are actually doing a Daft or Draft. And then Thursday evening, we have the live show that we are going to do after the draft. And then Friday, after day two, and I had this talk on Discord real quick. Day two is my favorite day.
Oh, I love day
one has all the hype and everything, but day two is where the scouts come out to play a little bit. And when I say that, I mean like the Twitter scouts and stuff like that, because the real scouts draft is day three, but for the scouts and coaches and like the real NFL, but where guys tend to shine is on day two. I think that's where the bread and butter of the NFL draft is. And I think that's where the meat and potatoes are for us personally. So I'm excited for that show, even more than the round one show.
Me too. Yeah, that's a great segue into getting into this, that we are going to be launching a lot more video content. This is my hope and my dream. I sent out an email to any Substack subscriber today. Daft on Draft.football is going to be going over to a paid subscription, but I'm doing my best to overhaul the content plan to make sure that we are giving you your money's worth. So lots more video content. Going to try to incorporate some Twitch streaming, have some ideas for maybe some creative mailbag selections of like maybe streaming NCAA football and on Xbox and answering mailbag questions at the same time. I think that could be a good crash out session. So, but yeah, we're going to do our best to continue to bring you quality content, but it's time to start monetizing a little bit. But that's enough of a preview for what's to come down the road. Today, we're going to dive into picks 1 through 16 of this mock draft, our final mock draft leading up to the NFL draft here. And Dalton, looking at picks 1 through 4, it kind of seems like these are a little sharpied at this point. I know we've heard some things today, like that some teams might be calling the Browns at 2 to try to come up for Travis Hunter. Some teams are still, the Browns and the Giants are still trying to call the Titans about 1, but they're not really entertaining anything. So it kind of feels like picks 1 through 4 here might be a little sharpied in.
Yeah. From an assets perspective, what would it take for the Browns to actually agree and trade away from Travis Hunter?
Yeah, so I mean, you have to look at like historically, like a move like that, but then you also have to consider the player. But which is tough because I mean, Travis Hunter is a complete unicorn, but he's not a quarterback.
Exactly.
So, like, how do you balance that? And like,
if you get a but if you get a quarterback-ish package, you take that, right?
You kind of have to. So if you're the Browns, I think you have to. I mean, you're starting Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco this next year. Like, I think you got to consider it. I think what it compares probably closest to is when the Jets came up for Sam Darnold in 2018. I think they came from 6-3. So, if we're talking, Jaguars are one of the teams I've heard have been kind of active in trying to come up for Travis Hunter. So like that's 5-2, same decent-ish kind of leap. And that took 3 second-round picks to make that happen in 2018 to come up for Sam Darnold. So do you think that 3 second-round picks is enough to come off of Travis Hunter is really what it comes down to at the end of the day?
Yes.
Yeah. And, Jacksonville's first, rookie GM, that might be a move that he might want to make a splash.
Maybe.
We'll see. But I think the Browns are in love with Travis Hunter. So I think it's going to take a lot. But we'll see. But for now, no trades involved right here. And it's rare on draft day to actually see trades in the top 4. Now that I'm thinking
trades happen way less than we like to imagine them in our heads.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Chalk
them on. Titans, Cam Ward. That's been obvious since the combine. We don't have anything to talk about. What's interesting though is Jonathan Jones of CBS put out his mock draft today, and it's worth noting that Jonathan Jones is the only person last year who mocked Michael Penix Jr. to the Atlanta Falcons as well. Jonathan Jones is one of those people who I think is like incredibly plugged in all around the nation. He had a mock draft today that only had one quarterback going in the first round, and it was first overall. So something to consider as we go through this mock as well, and something to consider when we get to draft night as well. That maybe that teams aren't crazy enough to come up for any of these guys or take them where they lie. But Cam Ward, number 1 overall to the Titans. Cleveland Browns, Travis Hunter, who they see primarily as a wide receiver who can also play some obvious passing situations in nickel and dime packages as well. Abdul Carter to the Giants, 3rd overall, and Will Campbell to the Patriots, 4th overall. This is where it gets a little messy.
Yeah, because we've heard some whispers that the Jacksonville Jaguars might want to score some touchdowns, and so Ashton Jeanty has been brought up. And at the end of the day, I it just feels like a Mason Graham pick. It just feels with what the Jags need. I think they've thrown assets at running back. I think that they like Tank Bigsby there in Jacksonville. And it's a little bit different because it is a new regime. So you never know when a new regime is taking over, what kind of roster turnover, what kind of players they're going to like. Even if we or if the overall environment in Jacksonville likes these guys, it doesn't matter if the new coaching staff does not. So there's a chance that they want to go out and make a splash and go with Ashton Jeanty and create some buzz and excitement, because as good as Mason Graham is, he's not getting the people excited the way that Jeanty would. But at the end of the day, I think from a roster building perspective, from an asset management perspective, the intelligent thing to do here would probably be get the guy who can bring pressure from the interior. So Mason Graham is who we decided to go with.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that Ashton Jeanty is from Jacksonville, Florida as well. So like there's a lot there. And I know Liam Cohen what I've heard is that Liam Cohen wants a workhorse, and obviously Travis Etienne is not a workhorse. That's also a guy who could probably be traded on the draft day as well. But he says that. But if you look at his time as the offensive coordinator of the Rams, he had a running back room of Cam Akers, Henderson, and rookie Kyron Williams, and then last year Bucky Irving and Rashad White. So like, he's clearly made it work with that one. I understand the need for one, but the Jaguars had one of the worst interior defensive line units last year, and it did get better. Like, and that's why they made some cuts in that room, and they're looking to overhaul that room. And I think you start that with Mason Graham. I just think that makes a lot of sense. The Raiders. So the Raiders are another tough one because this is a common Jeanty spot, but we didn't go Jeanty here either.
No, over the past week or two, we've heard a lot about Colton Miller and the new regime maybe not getting along. Not necessarily not getting along, but he missed a voluntary workout, which is no big deal. But he also has no guaranteed money left on his deal. 1 year left on his deal. And the last time we saw him in a primarily zone-heavy run scheme was when he was a rookie. And that didn't go well. So, yes, he probably is improved as a player. But when a new regime comes in, new offensive line coach, there's different ways of teaching things. They might want their own guy. They might want to save a little bit of money. And I think when you look at Armand Membao, the athleticism that he has shown, the draft history a little bit of Pete Carroll, makes it tough because running back has always been there with Pete Carroll as well. But I think that they are probably going to gear up. And that's the thing. Like, do you look at this as Armand Membao as like a long-term project, or do you think he's somebody who can come in and play right away? Because I think if you are 74 years old, like Pete Carroll is, maybe he thinks, well, Ashton Jeanty is my right now. The thing is, I think that he's going to live until he's 130. Pete Carroll, and he might coach till he's 100 if he can.
He's probably in better shape than half his players.
Yeah. So for me, I think that this is a sneaky spot for Armand Membao, and I think it's a sneaky spot for him to play on the left or the right side, because DJ Glaze played a little bit of the left side in college. Thayer Munford did play on the left side in college and has been vocal about being more comfortable on the left side. And so you have a little bit of a swing tackle there as well. For if you throw Membao on the left side and it's just something that is just not going to work right away, or it's going to take time, or it's not going to happen. Because at the end of the day, the difference between left tackle and right tackle at the NFL level when it comes to value at this point is non-existent.
Mm-mm. No, the blindside thing is a fallacy. It's a fallacy. All right. Armand Membu it is at 6-2 the Raiders. 7 New York Jets. So a lot of this is a popular Membu spot as well. I've actually heard the Jets don't particularly like Membu. And he's off the board here anyway, so it doesn't matter. The player that I have heard constantly that they love is Tyler Warren. And I think it makes a lot of sense too when you look at the amount of investment they've put into their offensive line, even including Olu Fashanu last year as their first round pick. And when you look at the quarterback they just signed, who typically doesn't love to be protected anyway in how he plays football, like how much does investing in an offensive lineman help Justin Fields get better? It doesn't. I mean, you're slated to start Tyler Warren at right tackle or Carter Warren at right tackle, which isn't great. It's not great. Let's just call it what it is. There are also other rounds, and they have a high second round pick as well, where they could come back and get, Josh Connerly, Ariante Ursary, somebody like that could definitely slip into that range. How you help Justin Fields, though, is you get him one of the best athletes in the draft. A guy that team after team knew was going to get force fed the football, and they still couldn't stop it. Like I think that's how you help this football team. And so with that being said, I think they do go with Tyler Warren here. I don't think they would go Ashton Jancy here either, because I think that the Jets have been pretty vocal that they want to go committee, like because they kind of pissed Breece Hall off about it. Like he tweeted about it when he read it, that they want to go by committee. So I don't think this is a running back early spot either. So get Justin Fields, a guy that can just be a consistent playmaker. Like that's what they need. So Tyler Warren to the Jets here.
Yep, totally agree. Jalen Walker to Carolina has felt penciled in for a while. If he's there, that's the way that they are going to go. That's the route they are going. And I don't really have much else to say about this pick. It feels like one that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll see how Ejiro Evero can make it work. I have some skepticism about how Jalen Walker works at the NFL, but the NFL loves him. Highest character guy, one of the higher character guys in the class, so he's going to work his ass off. So we'll see how that plays out for the Carolina Panthers. New Orleans Saints. This is where again it gets a little dicey. I have no idea what the Saints are going to do, like none whatsoever. Schefter dropped the nugget today that they're looking at either offensive or defensive line. This team's not close to competing. This team's not going to be close to competing. So, like, I genuinely have no idea what the Saints do or how they should even attack their roster at this point.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, when you're looking at it, they have Fuaga and Penning, but I really think when you look at it, Dylan Radins from Tennessee came in. But I really think that they're going to go Kelvin Banks here. And whether that be, and here's the thing about Banks is we've talked about him, and Dane has had him as a guard forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is somebody who could slide in and play left guard immediately for them, which has been a sticking point for them for a long time. I am a believer in Fuaga, and Trevor Penning looked good when he came in and kind of add a little bit more time. But everything is new in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And so again, new regime, we don't know what they're going to be looking for. And I think the NFL likes Kelvin Banks a lot more than this podcast has liked Kelvin Banks over time. So that's where I think that this pick ends up going.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. One of those big long edge rushers kind of gives me a little skepticism. I think they might go there, but I'm okay with Banks. I think Banks is fine.
And at the end of the day, none of us know anything.
Right. And again, trades are going to happen at this point. Like this is just a crapshoot now that we're getting through this. 10 to the Chicago Bears. This has always felt like the Janty spot, especially since they spent all that money and assets into their offensive line and free agency with trading for Joe Tooney, trading for Jonah Jackson, signing Drew Dolman. This just felt like this is the place for them to go. I have been like kind of sort of pounding the table over the past week or so that I really feel like this is a really awesome Colson Loveland landing spot too.
Well, that's because you're a Cole Kmet hater.
I mean, I think they're going to cut him after this year. I mean, I do. But like, they didn't re-sign Keenan Allen. He's still a free agent. They need a slot receiver. I think Kmet's gonna probably be off the roster after the season. They're gonna live out of 12, 13 personnel. If you look at what Ben Johnson did with Sam Laporta and Colson Loveland's skill set is kind of like souped up Sam Laporta. So like, I think there's a lot of cool fits with this Bears offense and Colson Loveland, but Ashton Jeanty's still on the board. DeAndre Swift is currently the best running back on that Chicago Bears roster. And DeAndre Swift is also part of Ben Johnson was part of the Detroit Lions offensive mind meld that kicked DeAndre Swift to the curb 2 years ago. So if I had to guess, DeAndre Swift might have one more year left in Chicago, and he's definitely not going to be a headlining running back for this offense in 2025. But I do think they would love a workhorse. And so this is where I do think they're going to go Ashton Jeanty. Do you think this is Ashton Jeanty's floor?
No, I think 12 is, but like absolute floor, I think is 12, but I don't think he gets there. I think he ends up going and being a top 10 pick.
I think so.
At number 11, San Fran. San Fran's also a little bit of a tough one just because of the names who are still on the board as well make it even more difficult. I think when you look at their outlook, I think edge rusher is prime for them to take here. The question becomes, who do they pair with Nick Bosa? And I think when you look at their history, as much as we like Shamar Stewart, I don't think it makes sense compared to the guys that they have had in the past on the edge. I think of guys like Eric Armstead, who like a big, more physical, like inside out guy. And you can look at Stewart and be like, oh, that's kind of him. But I think that that's even more Michael Williams. And you can look at guys like Leonard Floyd, look at guys like Drake Jackson. Then you're looking at Mike Green. And so you're looking at this three-headed monster of edge rushers in the NFL draft. Which one do they actually end up taking on Thursday night? Who the heck knows? But my mind keeps going back to big school and kind of what you brought up, which is like the character guys that they have drafted. There have been zero questions that we've heard about Michael. And there have been serious questions, although they seem to have been ignored or forgotten, about Mike Green, or just ignored, forgotten, not worried about anymore, whatever.
Yeah.
And so for me, when we look at this, it feels like a Michael pencil. A very, very thin pencil, but
it does. It does have that feel to it. I do think they're going to go defensive line. We heard some stuff about maybe some Derek Harmon medicals as well this week. This is like for me, a prime like, oh, this is a sneaky Derek Harmon spot because I think they could go defensive tackle too. But I do like the fit of Michael Williams in that defensive structure. I mean, right now they're starting Yetur Gross-Matos is their penciled in starter opposite Nick Bosa. So
yeah, it's not great.
Not great. Dallas Cowboys, number 12 here. Your Dallas Cowboys. We kind of narrowed this down to three players, really. Ted McMillan, Matthew Golden, or Shamar Stewart here. Do you want to talk through this one?
Yeah, I mean, just real late whispers about Shamar Stewart, that they might consider him, but the talk the entire offseason has been about getting Dak Prescott weapons. And they really do need a number two. It comes down to what they want in a number two, what they want to attack in a number two.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone the Brandon Cooks route. Obviously a little bit older guy, but you look at the schematic fit or the archetype fit, and that is more Matthew Golden. But they could really use an X, man. They could really use a complementary X.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Tet's a number one. I don't think any of these guys are number ones at the NFL level. But I do think Tet is a potential to be a high end number two guy alongside a Batman. Like we're talking about like a trend filled Robin. And so I think that's who he can be. I think he can be not maybe I think more of a Jordan Addison, more of a T. Higgins. And some people will say T. Higgins is a number one. But it's a lot easier to say T. Higgins is a number one right now when he's playing opposite of arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Yes.
And so for me, that's who I think has kind of been my comp for Tet the entire time. Because those are two guys like T I didn't love. But T's length, T's ability to go out and get the football, and Joe Burrow's willingness to put him in the position and leverage passes away from defenders to allow him to use his asset, which is his length and his ability to go get the football, is perfect. And Dak Prescott is somebody who is going to throw hospital balls over the middle and allow guys to go and get the football. And that's something that we saw Tet do consistently with Noah Fafita, who is a psychopath back there. So I think that Tet is probably the guy they go with here, even though they definitely like Matthew Golden as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what it comes down to is you want CeeDee Lamb to be able to continue to win the ways that he is exceptional. And a lot of that is over the middle of the field, down the seams, from the slot. And I think getting a true guy who can at least draw some attention outside the numbers and along the boundaries is going to do numbers for that. The body typing with Brandon Cooks to Matthew Golden is a little interesting, though. So, yeah, but I do think Tet makes a lot of sense right here. Miami Dolphins, we went with Texas corner Jahdae Barron. They're not whispers. They are very much out there that the Dolphins have granted Jalen Ramsey permission to go seek a trade. It kind of seems like they want out of that partnership. The Dolphins honestly seem like they're on the verge of tearing every veteran off that roster and maybe 1 year away from something drastic happening in South Beach there. But their secondary was already bad, and trading Jalen Ramsey, losing Javon Holland in free agency as well. And it's only going to get worse unless they start adding some talent to it. So I think they do go secondary here. And I personally think that Jahdae Barron would be a great fit because both of their apexy kind of defenders are Javon Holland and Jalen Ramsey. Both those guys that can throw in the slot, that can move around a little bit, drop into the box. Again, Jalen Ramsey can play boundary corner, obviously, as well. So when I think about a corner in this class, you can kind of do all of that kind of stuff as well. It's Jahdae Barron. And I know that they like Kader Kohu in the nickel, which is completely fine because Jahdae Barron can also play outside. So I think this gives them a lot of flexibility and, again, adds a talented corner to their room. So Jahdae Barron to the Dolphins here at 13.
And at 14, we're getting them that tight end. We are getting Indianapolis, the tight end. We are getting their version of Dallas Goedert. I think that you can use Colston Loveland in a lot of the same ways. I think getting Shane Steichen, a guy who you can force feed the ball to, and something that isn't talked about enough with Colston Loveland is his ability after the catch. He's not a freaky athlete, but he is very smooth. And I mean, you see that with him as a route runner, and you see that with him after the catch as well. He is smooth with it. He is able to kind of react and pick up yards after the catch. And I think that you can give him manufactured touches behind the line of scrimmage. You can make things easy on your quarterback with him. And then you also give a huge target. And no matter who the quarterback is there, they're going to need a huge target over the middle of the field.
they have not been quiet about needing to overhaul that tight end room from Mo Alley Cox, Andrew Ogletree, and Kylan Granson. Kylan Granson left in free agency. Ogletree's still on the roster.
Jelani Woods.
Yeah, Jelani Woods can't stay healthy and on the field anyway. So they've talked about the need to overhaul that tight end room, and I think adding Colson Loveland, I think they would sprint that pickup if Loveland's on the board here. 15 Atlanta Falcons with Michael and Jalen Walker both off the board. I think they would love either of those Georgia guys, and honestly, they could come up and get one because they tried to come up and get Latu last year. I don't know if you remember that. They tried to come up and get Latu after taking Michael Penix. But they are going to get their edge rusher here. And it was Todd McShay today who said that the Falcons and the Bengals are two of the teams that are willing to overlook quite a bit of off the field stuff in terms of Mike Green, James Pierce, and Walter Nolan were the three names that Todd McShay paired with both of those teams. I've heard for a really long time that the Falcons are really into Mike Green. Again, Mike Green has not had a single top 30 visit, which means NFL teams don't even have questions for him. Like, you bring guys in on top 30 visits when you want to get them checked out by your doctor. You want to sit them down face to face again and have a heart to heart. Or in a lot of cases, they bring in guys who they think they could bring in as UDFAs, and they just want to get them familiar with the building, the staff, because UDFAs get to choose.
Build a little bit of a rapport because they can choose. They can choose where they want to go.
Yeah. So the Browns were in previous years when they were picking mid-teens or late teens or early 20s, the 2 to 3 years they were actually good, would do that just to build rapport with those guys. But Mike Green doesn't have a single visit, which just tells you the NFL is like, cool with Mike Green. Okay. I mean, we have questions about him on the field as well. I mean,
yeah, but we don't matter.
We don't matter.
This is a predictive mock draft. It's a predictive mock draft. And it doesn't matter because what we have known for a long time is that the NFL sees Mike Green as a round one player and possibly the best pure pass rusher in this class outside of Abdul Carter, period.
Yep. So Mike Green, 15 to the Atlanta Falcons.
And at the end of the day, no matter how much we like him or dislike him, he's a better pass rusher than Jalen Walker is.
Because he's a linebacker.
Might not be a better football player, but he's a better pass rusher.
Yeah. All right. Rounding out part one of this mock draft here, the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, I've heard like 3 different things. So obviously their cornerback room is a little rough, like with Sean Murphy-Bunting and Max Melton. And I do like Garrett Williams. I like Garrett Williams quite a bit.
Yeah, every NFL draft Nick liked Garrett Williams.
I know. But he played well last year for him too. So, but needless to say that corner room could use an upgrade. I've heard they really want to look at defensive line, and I've heard that they could go offensive tackle as well. Jonah Williams is their right tackle, only under contract for 1 more year as well there. So that's an option too. Here we stopped the Will Johnson slide though. Like, that corner room on paper needs an extra body and a starting caliber body in that room. We've been pretty vocal about the Will Johnson stuff and how we think it's kind of silly, but I mean, it's pretty consensus at this point that people like we should expect a Will Johnson slide.
Yeah, he should be a top 10 pick every day of the week, but he's just not. It seems like he's just not. So
no. So long speed concerns, if you got him, sure, fine, whatever. Athleticism concerns, sure, fine, whatever. You think he's just a cover 3 corner, sure, fine, whatever. Let him fall to a good team later and let him be a quality player for a good team. In this case, it's the Arizona Cardinals, and Jonathan Gannon gets a corner here to round out the first half of this mock draft here with Will Johnson to the Cardinals. It's a pretty solid first half of that mock draft right there.
Yeah, we'll see it all fall apart in the first
I'm sure
30 minutes of the NFL draft when there's a trade or two. But we enjoy talking through this stuff. Actually, we hate it because we want to be right, and we know that we just can't be right because we don't know. And that's the fun of this. That's what intrigues people about mock drafts. It's why we love and hate them. But at the end of the day, this is going to be our Christmas. Like the nerd, the NFL draft lover this is their Christmas. They don't care about what happens on the field on Sundays as much. We spend all off season selling our kidneys to find all 22 on these guys.
Yep.
Just so we can live this moment and have an education on these players. So this is everything for us. We are very excited about this night.
Love it. We are almost there. I love draft night. It's a little different when you have to work during the draft.
Very different.
But I honestly kind of love it. I've got my laptop open. Again, on Draft.Football on the Substack, I'm going to do a live grading article where I'm just going to update every single pick and add my little blurb and a grade to it. So if you want to follow along, bookmark that article that I'll have out. I'll probably put it out Thursday morning, the body of it, and work off of it from there. But so I'm excited to knock that out. I have some Browns duties as well to cover there with Browns Wire. But again, Dalton and I will be going live midnight on Thursday, 11:30-ish on Friday. So that's Eastern Standard Time. There you go. So tune in with us there. Join us if it's not too late. Again, those will be published as podcast episodes the following day as well if you don't want to stay up and hang out with us. But so we totally get that. But until next time, we'll knock out 17 through 31 tomorrow, 32 tomorrow, and then call it good on the 2025 cycle in terms of mock drafts here. And then after draft on Thursday morning, a good way to close out the cycle. There's no better way to close out the cycle than a draft. So, all right. Well, until next time, I'm Corey. This is Dalton, and this is the Daft on Draft podcast. Goodbye.